Hi everyone, we're back.
You're a little sad there, Sarah.
Well, we lost.
We did. Oops, we did it again.
Yeah.
So this video is probably going to come out on U.S. Women's National Team played on Tuesday. This will probably come out Thursday. So it's been a couple days. We're actually recording this the day after they played. And
we're still suffering.
Yeah.
No, I'm just joking.
But they did it again. Another loss. 2-0 Spain. And there are so many storylines and context to this that it even makes it harder that they lost. As many people know, Sarah and I aren't really going to talk tactics or gameplay, but it's more like just a feeling, how we're feeling watching the game. 2 games in a row over in Europe, losing those 2 games. We'll start with this stat and we'll go from there.
U.S. Women's National Team has lost consecutive games for the first time since 2017 to Japan and England at the She Believes Cup. The last time the U.S. lost consecutive games and conceded 2+ goals in each was the 2001 Algarve Cup versus Norway and Denmark, both without most of the U.S. first team.
Yeah, so that first of all is major. That stat right there. First, 2017, a lot of people know 2017 as a very kind of like a dark year in U.S. Women's National Team. Inside of soccer, outside of soccer, a lot of things going on. But I guess we'll start with the context of them playing the Spanish team. The Spanish team, as we all know, had 15 players sign the letter saying we're not going to take it. We're very unhappy. And then they didn't put any of those 15 players on the roster, including Jenny Hermoso. They didn't put, so there was, I believe, 17 players of Spain who normally would have been considered not even on this roster. So they're calling it like Spain's B team, Spain C's team. That's one part of the storyline, is that United States lost to the B team, the C team, which isn't good. Not just that, this just gives more power to the coach, Jorge Vilda, and more power to the federation, saying, we don't even need you guys. Look, we beat the United States. We tied Sweden. It gives them more power, because I think going into the game, people said United States really need to crush the B team.
I wanted to demolish them just for the coach.
For the coach, which sucks, because
players.
It's like the players didn't deserve any of this, but it's almost like you want to go in there and kind of beat them hard to show that the federation, hey, you can't do whatever you want. But this just kind of does the opposite. They beat United States. Now they think, we don't need them. We can go in there and win. And, the thing is, United States women are so much in support of the women of the Spanish team and the players who sent the letters. And just to know that even though they won, they're happy that they won as people. It's kind of like that doesn't help them in their cause against their federation. So that's another part of the storyline that really is just upsetting. So I guess I'll start with this comment I saw on Instagram. I guess we'll kind of go to this comment I saw, because this kind of has the context of what we were just talking about as well.
Spain didn't have 17 players. Our B team should beat their B team. Plus, we actually had plenty of A team players. No excuses for today's performance or lack thereof.
Yeah, because I know that they didn't have their players, but we had plenty of...
Had Haran, Lavelle.
Exactly. So, the United States was in a position where the stats are not against them. But if you go into the game, and now we're not really going to talk about the game, but, starting off in the first half, I didn't think Spain looked that great. They didn't look great the very beginning.
Right.
They scored in the 39th minute. So it was 0-0. But I think that really what gave them confidence. That goal was kind of a good goal. All that traffic in the middle. And then that just really gave them the confidence. So after that corner kick, go to halftime, then go in the second half. Again, the United States, it didn't seem like they had any cohesion, United States, Then in the 72nd minute, Spain scored a beautiful goal. It was a beautiful goal.
Yeah.
And Sarah was so funny. She goes, I think they're going to come back. United States is going to come back.
I was wishful thinking, but
yeah. But so, and at the end they won 2-0. I mean, I never got a sense the United States really had a good game plan. Actually, I saw this comment on the Instagram.
Big lack of chemistry and passion from this team.
Yeah, and I read that comment. That was on the United States Women's Instagram. And I think that the chemistry, there's no chemistry with the team. And there's no chemistry because they don't have a consistent lineup. It's every single day. It's who's going to be out there. Obviously, this game, they had the same, they just tinkered with their defense. But even then, you just know consistency. You never quite know who's going to be put in there. And I also think it feels like Vlatko doesn't have a plan when he's putting the subs in. Like, you never see, the big picture seems a little bit shaky. Like, he's just kind of looking at the bench, say who's going to go next. He doesn't really have a plan. It seems like that way when we're watching the game. They don't have a lot of consistency and chemistry. There isn't a lot of chemistry. So I think that is kind of the idea that if you go through the comments on the U.S. Women's National Team Instagram, most people are saying no consistency in the lineup. That is really, really hurting the squad. Even with people who are going to be filled in later, there's no consistency on who. Or even someone like Carson Pickett, who came and she got there on Saturday or Sunday, then started on Tuesday. And I mean, part of me even thought maybe Vlatko and the coaches didn't care about winning. They weren't necessarily trying to win. They had a bigger picture, because some things just didn't seem to make sense. Some things were a little chaotic. So I kind of thought that they felt like, oh, whether we win or lose, they didn't really care about that to a sense. And also, bringing in players, Alyssa Thompson, who hasn't been with the system that long, coming in, you know what I mean? So there's a lot of things that are just up in the air. There is a lot of question marks.
Make a roster and stick with it. Too much change is not good. And this other comment says, I have hated this for years. I can't remember how long it has been since the U.S. Women's National Team has regularly played the same lineup with minimal changes. It seems like we are in a constant state of experimentation. We never gel into a set unit.
Yeah.
So true.
And I saw a lot of those comments. I saw a lot of those type of comments saying it's been long enough. The experimental phase has been long enough. So there's a lot of consistency issues. Then, I think about the time in 2017 and times before then that were kind of troubling. And, a lot of people, including Sara and myself, weren't around always for those times where there was issues and they came back and won the World Cup, So I'm going to read this other comment that has kind of a, interesting tone to it. But I think there was a lot of things to say about that comment.
Having followed this team for 27 years, long before more than 90% of y'all were even a stain on your daddy's boxers, ooh, tell them, I can easily and confidently say I am in no way worried about next summer's World Cup. The U.S. Women's National Team is in constant transition. It's called a cycle for a reason. Most of y'all are fair weather fans who haven't been around this team long enough to understand how the process works. For those of you who do, the phrase trust the process makes this and Friday's losses nothing to be particularly concerned about.
So even though that tone of that comment was a little bit, I don't know, kind of sassy,
I liked it. My kind of comment.
I thought the message was clear. Based on some of the issues the team has had over time, it's not panic yet, and this is a cycle for a reason. And I understand that process, because it's like panic too soon. The one thing I will say, they have 2 games against Germany. If they lose those games, or if they don't look good, maybe then it's panic then. Yeah. And then I saw a lot of comments like this.
Stop making excuses for Vlatko. He has ruined this team, and the second team of Spain proved that. Vlatko out.
And I saw a lot of people with that hashtag, or not even the hashtag, that stance, Vlatko out, Vlatko out. And I don't know, that isn't for, I don't know. I don't necessarily have an opinion on that in regards to, do I think he's doing a bad, but how you say the proof is in the pudding? I don't think a lot of people like the way he communicates about the team to the media and stuff. I think they think he says a lot of the messaging is very strange from him.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people don't particularly like that, and I think that the idea that his approach is a lot of people think he's in over his head. I see a lot of comments like on the Instagram and things. The thing I think people get most frustrated about, I think they think the talent is on the field. Those players who are on the team have all the talent in the world. The players who play on the national team have as much talent as any player in the whole entire world, but not to be able to put it all together. Yeah, and that's what the coach is there for, to really get the best out of each player. And I don't think people think that he is getting the best out of each player. I read this comment, but this comment is from Meg Linehan. And most people in the WOSO world know her. She's a writer for the Atlantic, sports writer for the Atlantic. So most people know her, and so she put her input. And coming from her, I think this is I trust the process, and this is part of the process.
You have a team that for years was used to building within a consistent 11 and feeling the security of a role, well, relatively. Changing that approach is a project, and I think it was one of the underlying causes of the Olympic performance. The body language right now, though, woof.
And then someone tweeted at Meg, and they said, do you buy the excuses they're throwing about the Yates report heavily impacting play, or the absence of so many A-team players as the reason they're walking away 0-2 from this trip? Or do we need to see some different strategy/management?
Context, not excuses. In my opinion, general vibe right now is the hand should be hovering over the panic button after this trip, but it only gets hit if the Germany games go sideways.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I read this quote, and then I was that was on my mind even when we were talking before, that those Germany games will tell it all, you know what I mean? But there is a whole bunch of question marks, and do I think this team can come back to the World Cup and still win a World Cup? I actually do. I think there's so much talent on the team. Absolutely. Also, England just played Czech Republic, and Czech Republic's a pretty good team, but they tied them 0-0. And, that just goes to show you, as amazing as the English team is,
we wore them down. I like to think that.
And I think that goes back to the United States was so ahead of so many people for so many years, and now, like most people think, the European teams have all caught up, which is good, even equal playing field, and I think it's good for the sport. And it's a transition for Americans to think any team on any day could beat the Americans, but that's reality now. But what is everyone thinking? My question is, for people who have followed this team for a long time, because there's a lot of people who have followed it since the inception or since the last 30 years, since a long, long time.
Do you want to be the coach?
Yeah. What is your thought? Because are you panicking? Are you saying there's no panic? Or are you thinking, no, this isn't good? Or are you thinking, hey, like this other comment, it's a cycle, not worried? And also just for fans like Sara and I mean, what's your thought in regards to, are you feeling confident that the games in Germany are going to go well? Because I'm still thinking they're going to go well. They're going to be on home soil, and I think that helps a lot.
Yeah.
I'm thinking they're going to go well. So whether you're an older fan or a newer fan in the last few years, are you feeling pretty confident? Also, and do you like that it's like you go into every game kind of like nail biter at this point? You know what I mean?
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it's like you want your team to win.
I know.
You want them to perform and outperform the other.
True.
But que será.
Yeah, exactly. So what does everyone think? Germany, those will be two very interesting games. I still think they're going to win. Going back to my prediction for the English game, I actually thought the English were going to win. Then for this game, I actually thought America was going to win this game. And I'm calling it now, United States. Going into those games, I'm feeling pretty confident being on home soil. What does everyone think? Questions, comments? Are you just bummed? I told Sara this earlier today. The first loss against England was like the harder loss. Like, oh my God, I can't believe we lost. And this loss was a little bit easier. It's just like, oh, we lost.
Don't be saying it's a thing that we do now. No.
Yeah, I know.
Take that out of your mouth.
What does everyone think? Questions, comments down below. Also, I have not responded or gotten to many comments in the last couple videos. I've just been busy. So we read every single comment though. So I'm going to try to get back to those ASAP. So if anyone cared.
What a nerd.
Questions, comments down below. We'll talk to everyone later. Have a great night.
Bye.
Bye.